Ready to ditch those zodiac stereotypes. We're diving deep into the real Aries-Libra dynamic.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
This is way more interesting than just like the typical fire versus air thing we always hear about, you know?
Totally. It's way deeper than just personality clashes, right?
Yeah.
This is about like these fundamental human tensions,
Yeah.
the drive for independence, but then also that longing for connection, like the urge to just act versus really needing to weigh all sides.
Like those two parts of ourselves battling it out.
It is. It's the astropsychology of it all, which is what we're getting into today.
Okay, so just a little refresher for anyone who needs it. We're looking at Aries and Libra.
Right.
Two signs that are like directly opposite each other on the zodiac wheel,
Yeah.
which is not just some random placement.
No, not at all. Think of it like a coin.
Okay.
You can't have heads without tails, right?
Sure.
Aries and Libra represent like those extremes, those two ends of the same spectrum.
Well, I like that.
And just like a coin needs both sides to exist, these energies are fundamentally like intertwined. You can't separate them.
So how does this spectrum, this coin idea, how does that actually show up in our lives? Like, let's say how each sign approaches conflict.
Ooh, good one. Okay, so picture this. There's a disagreement. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's in a relationship, doesn't matter.
Okay.
And Aries, who we know is very direct, has that fiery nature.
Yeah.
They might see that disagreement as like an opportunity to grow, a chance to clear the air.
Get it all out there.
Exactly. And for them, conflict can be like a catalyst. It gets things moving. It creates progress.
Okay, that makes sense. And Libra, how do they approach that same disagreement?
Libra is different. They find that conflict, it's like unsettling, you know?
Oh, totally.
Because remember, Libra, it's all about harmony, balance. Their instinct is to smooth things over.
Right. Keep the peace.
Exactly. Find a compromise, even if it means sacrificing their own needs to do it.
Which, let's be honest, can be so frustrating if you're the one constantly compromised.
Oh, 100%.
And that makes me think about how differently these two signs approach just like decision-making in general.
Oh, yeah. Huge difference. Big difference there.
Because you've got Aries who's impulsive, acts on instinct, dives headfirst into new situations.
Right.
And then Libra's more cautious, takes their time, wants to be really deliberate.
Yes. They carefully weigh every option, like every single potential outcome, before even thinking about making a move.
So different.
Very different approaches.
It's like that classic tug of war.
Yeah.
Aries is like, let's go, let's do this. Wants to leap right away. And Libra's like,
Yeah.
hold on, let me just get all the information. I need to see what's over there first.
Right. Exactly.
Which I'm sure creates some tension.
Oh, absolutely. It can. Big time.
I'm just picturing like road trip arguments, relationship anxieties.
Oh, it's real. This dynamic, it can show up everywhere in life.
Yeah.
And, you know, for Libra, that constant fear that their Aries counterpart will just like make a rash decision, a decision that impacts both of them,
Makes sense.
can be a major source of anxiety.
Totally. So we've talked about how Aries' directness and impulsivity can be a lot for Libra to handle.
It can be.
But what about the other way around? How does Libra's constant need for harmony, how does that clash with Aries' inherent need to, well, be in Aries?
Such a good question. Because it gets to the heart of why this pairing, it's challenging,
Yeah.
but it's also really rewarding.
I could see that.
Because as much as Aries can get frustrated by that Libra indecisiveness,
Right.
Libra can feel stifled by what they see as Aries impulsivity.
It's almost like they're working on two different timelines.
Totally.
Aries is thinking, let's go, let's do this, Carpe Diem.
Right.
And then Libra's like, hold on, let's get organized, make sure everybody's on board with this.
Did you check your schedule?
Yeah, did you check in with everybody? Exactly.
Yeah.
And that difference, like that pace, that different speed,
It can get rough.
yeah, it can cause some friction.
In so many areas of life, too.
Totally.
From work to their relationships, everything.
And speaking of different approaches, we were talking earlier about how, like, Libra might be a little anxious about Aries' impulsivity.
Right.
But there's another layer to that. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just being afraid that Aries is going to make a bad decision. It's about how those Aries decisions impact the relationship itself.
Exactly. Because remember, Libra, it's all about connection,
That's
right?
what thrive on it.
Partnership. It's how they're wired.
Totally.
So when their Aries counterpart makes like a bold move, but doesn't really think about how it affects the we,
Us.
yeah, it can feel like the relationship itself is being disregarded.
Like their needs, what they want, it's invisible in that moment.
Totally.
Wow.
And I mean, over time, that builds resentment.
Yeah.
It festers. Libra might start to feel like they're always the one compromising. They're always the one putting the relationship first, above themselves.
And sacrificing their own needs.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I can see how an Aries would start to feel like their independence is being threatened a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Libra's need for connection, for closeness, can feel a little suffocating.
Right, because Aries is all about the self.
Independent?
Yes. Strong sense of who they are. And a deep need to just express that freely. So yeah, Libra's focus on we, us.
Togetherness.
Even if it's coming from a good place, which it is, it can be overwhelming for an Aries who needs space.
Yeah.
Who needs to breathe.
To be themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without feeling like they constantly have to check in, get permission.
Right. Am I allowed to do this? Is this okay with you?
Is this going to disrupt the harmony?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it's almost like, again, back to that balancing act. This dance between me and we that both signs are trying to figure out.
Yes. And it's messy.
It's not always pretty.
Right. Relationships are messy. And this is where I think if we look at what's going on right now, astrologically speaking,
Okay, yeah.
it gets really interesting.
Lay it on us.
Because we're in a time where those lunar nodes, those points in astrology that are all about growth.
Evolution.
Yes. They're highlighting this exact dynamic.
Really?
Yes. It's fascinating.
Okay, so for those of us who might need like a little lunar node refresher,
Okay, sure.
hit us with it. What are they?
Okay, so the lunar nodes, think of them like guideposts
Oh, okay.
on your soul's journey.
Deep. I like it.
So the north node, that represents the direction we're supposed to be moving toward.
Our soul's purpose.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Right? Okay.
And then the south node, that represents all those patterns and tendencies that we're actually meant to be moving away from.
Okay, so it's kind of like what we're used to.
Yeah, the old habits.
Comfort zone, but we got to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that comfy couch you love.
Yes. I'm comfy.
But you've been there for lifetimes. The north node is calling you, saying, hey, there's a whole adventure out there.
I love that. Okay, I'm ready to get off the couch. So where are these cosmic guideposts? Where are they pointing us right now?
So right now, the north node,
Yeah.
it's in Aries. And the south node,
Uh-huh.
that's in Libra.
Whoa. So that's like a big shift
It is.
because you're going from that place of like harmony, right?
Right. Trying to keep things balanced.
Keeping everybody happy
Exactly.
to like, no, I'm going to focus on myself.
Where do I want? Exactly.
Which is like the opposite of how a lot of us have been conditioned.
100%. Especially with all that south node Libra energy, it's still lingering.
Lingering, yeah, for sure.
So we've got to be mindful of that.
So how does that play out for people? Like, I get the whole cosmic weather report, right? I understand that. That's happening up there.
Right, right.
But, like, how do we actually, as people, navigate that shift from Libra to Aries in our own lives?
Well, I think it's about finding that sweet spot
Okay.
between self-assertion, but also consideration for other people.
So it's not just going off and doing whatever you want. Consequences be damned.
No, not at all. It's about setting those boundaries, healthy boundaries.
Right.
Learning to speak your truth, but doing it with compassion.
Okay.
And knowing it's okay to put your own well-being first. It doesn't mean you're sacrificing your relationships.
It's tough, though,
It is. Easier said than done.
because it's like these ingrained patterns.
Exactly. This is like lifelong conditioning we're trying to break free from.
We've been on that comfy couch.
Exactly. But awareness is a huge step. It's
Yeah.
the first step.
Right.
Once we actually understand those energies, how they work, how they play out in our relationships,
Yeah.
then we can actually decide, okay, how do I want to show up?
This is how I want to do things.
This is who I am.
I like that. It's like we're being given this chance to evolve.
Yes.
To really become like the most authentic versions of ourselves.
100%. But it takes work.
Yeah.
It takes confronting those old patterns.
And embracing a little bit of that Aries fire.
Yes, exactly. And that doesn't mean we don't care about other people. It's not about being selfish.
Right.
It's about recognizing your needs, your desires. They're valid. They matter.
They do matter. So how do we do that? How do we access that Aries fire without, burning everything down? So how do we do that? How do we access that Aries fire without, burning everything down?
It starts with recognizing those energies. That assertive Aries, the harmonious Libra,
Yeah.
it's not just external, they're not just like out there in the world.
Okay.
They exist inside each of us. We all have them.
Ooh, I like that. So it's less about like, oh, my boss's inner Aries is out of control today. It's more like, okay, wait, where am I getting stuck in these patterns myself?
Yes, exactly. We all have that drive. That's the Aries fire, that
Yeah.
drive to take charge, to go after what we want.
Fuck no.
And we also have that desire for connection, for balance,
Yeah,
for making things work well with other people. And that's our inner Libra.
our inner diplomat.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah, I can totally see that in
Yeah.
myself. Like, sometimes I'm all about making a bold move, speaking my truth, even if it ruffles some feathers.
Yeah,
But other times, I'm shying away from conflict, trying to make everyone happy,
right.
even if it means, like,
Yeah.
sacrificing my own needs.
That's the dance. We're all doing it. It's about learning to recognize those impulses,
Okay,
those patterns, and then it's like making a choice.
right.
Right.
Like, which way do I want to go here?
Yes. Which energy is actually going to help me the most in this moment?
I love that. So it's not about, like, picking a side. It's not like, okay, I'm going to be all Aries all the time, or I'm just going to be super diplomatic. It's about navigating between them.
Exactly. Finding that sweet spot where your inner Aries, your inner Libra, they're actually working together like a team.
I love that. That makes so much sense because it's like we need that Aries fire
Yeah.
to get us going it right, to
Yeah.
get us out of our comfort zones.
Mm.
But we also need that Libra wisdom
Yes.
to be like, okay, but how do we do this in a way that actually works?
Right. It's about channeling. You've got all that fire, that energy. You've got to make sure it doesn't burn out of control,
Okay.
that you're not creating chaos everywhere.
So Libra is like that guiding force. It's like, Aries, I see your vision. We're going to make it happen.
Exactly.
But we're going to do it in a way that's sustainable,
Yes.
that feels good to everyone.
That works long term.
Yes. It's like we're creating something that lasts. Wow. This is making me realize it's not just about me,
It's not.
understanding this Aries-Libra dance. It's about how I deal with other people, too,
Exactly. How you approach the world.
because everybody's approaching it a little differently.
Yes. And this is like the beauty of astrology. It's not about putting people in a box.
Right. It's not all Libras are this or whatever.
Exactly. But it gives us this language to understand each other.
I love that.
These fundamental human things.
Because what looks like a personality clash, maybe it's not even that.
Right. It's just two different ways of being.
I love it. Okay, so if we could leave our listeners with, like, one key takeaway about all this,
One thing to remember.
the Aries-Libra dynamic, what would it be?
Embrace the dance.
Ooh, I like it.
Don't be afraid of those seemingly opposite parts of yourself.
Yeah.
Learn to really see them, to know what they're good at, what their weaknesses are.
Okay.
But most importantly, learn how to use that power to create a life that you feel really good about, a life that feels authentically you.
Mastering our own inner Aries-Libra dance. That's pretty powerful stuff. I love that. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of Aries and Libra.
Such a fascinating pair.
They really are. And, even though I know it can be a little bumpy, a little challenging to navigate these energies, I'm walking away from this feeling really optimistic. Like, even just understanding this a little bit better, it gives us such a leg up in life.
I agree. It's all about that awareness, being kind to yourself, and being willing to keep learning, to keep growing.
Yes, couldn't have said it better myself. All right, folks, that is it for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring those cosmic depths. And remember, the most rewarding journeys often begin with a single step, or maybe a bold leap. It all depends on which energy is guiding you today.